The Norfolk and Western Railway was one of the last major roads to completely dieselize, and many different classes of steam locomotives made up the line's roster. Class G1280 Consolidation Number 6, shown here at Pounding Mill, Virginia on August 5, 1950, was Baldwin built in 1897 and still exists today at the Roanoke Transportation Museum. The Richmond Works turned out Class E2A Pacific Number 577, and here she rolls near Narna, Virginia on April 16, 1950. Northbound across the ACL's James River Bridge at Richmond, Pacific Number 563 was constructed at the N&W's Roanoke shops in 1912. August 14, 1958, Lambert's Point Yard at Norfolk. Class S1A 080 Number 235 was one of the last N&W built steam locomotives coming out of the Roanoke shops in 1953. In fact, this group of switchers numbered from 200 through 244 were the last reciprocating steam locomotives built in the U.S. for a major railroad. 1916 vintage Z1B number 1456 was among the oldest articulateds on the line. The N&W was one of few roads to extensively employ 12-wheelers. Class M480 number 382 crosses a wood trestle at Watauga, Virginia on October 12, 1957. Class K1 482 number 108 at N&W A on June 26, 1954. She was one of the few mountain types remaining after World War II that were not streamlined to resemble Class J 484s. Class J was the modern steamer, and 613 here at Blackstone on December 11, 1955 was the last 484 built and saw service only 9 years, being scrapped in 1959. Y-Class 2882 articulateds were numerous on the N&W, and here on October 9, 1954, Y6B number 2178 on pusher duty near Christiansburg cuts off on the fly. The unique coal-burning steam turbine named John Henry was built in 1954 as a joint effort of the N&W, Baldwin Lima Hamilton, Babcock and Wilcox, and Westinghouse Electric. Number 2300 was an experiment attempting to retain the use of coal in locomotives and slow the onslaught of diesels. Due to the high initial cost and lack of orders from other railroads, no more were built, and she was scrapped at only 3 years of age. And finally, the main subject of this program, Class A 2664 articulateds, number 1219 at N&W A on June 26, 1954. November 6, 1955, number 1223 near Crewe. October 13, 1957, number 1216 at Thaxton with the Peaks of Otter in the background. And November 17, 1957, number 1217 at Lynchburg. The year 1981 found 1218 still residing at the old Roanoke Transportation Museum under the shadow of a city street bridge. Externally, she looked pretty good, but from an examination of the cab and backhead with the missing parts and gauges, it seemed she would forever be cold and still. This assumption, much to our delight, proved incorrect, and April 20th, 1987 finds fire in the box, steam in the boiler, air in the tanks, coal and water in the tender, and final adjustments being performed to enable reborn 1218's initial major journey back to her birthplace of Roanoke. The railroad successfully obtained 1218 in 1985 and towed her here, the Birmingham Steam Shops, where 2 years of effort have paid off handsomely in the largest, most powerful active steam locomotive on today's rails. Built in 1943 at the Norfolk and Western's own Roanoke shops, Number 1218 was one of a group of 25 so-called wartime A's that came online in 1943 and 44. These were numbered 1210 through 1234. The first group of A's, numbers 1200 through 1209, were constructed in 1936 and 7, and the final group, numbers 1235 through 1242, were completed in 1949 and 50. Of the total 43 A's, only 1218 remains, the others being scrapped as late as 1959. 1218 herself was retired in that year and eventually ended up in what was thought to be permanent display. 300 pounds of boiler pressure through 4 24 by 30-inch cylinders into 6 pair of 70-inch diameter drivers produce 114,000 pounds of tractive effort to propel this 573,000-pound magnificent machine. Final adjustments to the reverse gear linkage precede 1218 and her 5-car consist being towed over to the downtown Birmingham area for tomorrow morning's departure. Tuesday, April 21st, 1987. Our first location is Cook Springs, Alabama. Next, the Coosa River Bridge east of Pell City. Eastbound, approaching Anniston. We had planned on taping many more shots on Tuesday, but, as they say, the best laid plans, etc., etc., something went wrong. 1218's right front side rod bearing burned out and she limped into Anniston. Through the crew's near heroic efforts, the problem was corrected, but many hours delay caused Tuesday afternoon's planned Atlanta entrance to turn into an early Wednesday morning arrival. Consequently, her Wednesday the 22nd appearance at our first shooting location of Suwanee, Georgia, which should have been around 9 a.m., actually happened at 2 p.m., but better late than never. Approaching Gainesville at Oakwood. The Tugaloo River separates Georgia and South Carolina, and this day, the river looks like a lake compared to last October when we were here taping diesels and it looked more like a narrow stream. Coming up, the Kiowa River Bridge at Clemson, South Carolina. Continuing northbound at Easley. We're running out of daylight at the Pacolet River Bridge north of Spartanburg. The next morning, Thursday the 23rd, we're back on schedule as 1218 is prepared to leave Salisbury, North Carolina on the final leg of her journey home to Roanoke. Just past the old Spencer Yards, 1218 crosses the Yadkin River. a highway overpass north of Linwood. (1218) zips through Thomasville. Reidsville, North Carolina. A freight approaches from the north while 1218 steams in from the south. A few miles north of Reidsville, 1218 gets going after a brief stop. Having crossed into Virginia, she approaches Danville where a water stop is planned. Milepost 223 is at a spot named Dry Fork. Alta Vista Bridge. (1218) eases through the Southern Yards at Lynchburg. She's close to home now, heading west near Thaxton. And our final shot of this day is 1218 heads downgrade at the Blue Ridge Parkway overlook. After a full day of rain on Friday the 24th, Saturday's weather is worse, and rivers are flooding and roads are washing out. It's the kind of day you'd rather stay in bed, but here we are near Riverside. The double tunnel at Montgomery is a popular photo spot and was so even back in the past. On July 24, 1949, Mr. August Teamy filmed a scene you won't see repeated today or ever. Class J608 and Y6 number 2150 emerge almost simultaneously from the portals. The rain has produced a mini waterfall, and the New River is at flood stage between Narrows and Glen Lynn, as 1218 approaches a blockade of power lines down on the track. It was feared that this might be the end of today's run, but fortunately, a utility company crew arrived and removed the obstacle, allowing 1218 to continue on to Bluefield. The East River near Oakville, West Virginia, normally is a rather slow stream, but today more than lives up to the name river as our train eases by. Approaching Bluefield, 1218 climbs the grade through Ada. At times, we didn't think the train would get to Bluefield today, but she finally made it. 1218 heads back eastbound to Roanoke, and we're set up at an S-curve near Blake, West Virginia. Back in Virginia, 1218 rolls around the curve at Glen Lynn. The light's fading fast with the miserable weather, and our day's final scene is at Narrows. Sunday the 26th brought a 180-degree change in the weather. Sunny, clear skies greeted 1218, moving from Schaefer's Crossing down to pick up her train for today's first round trip to Lynchburg. One of our favorite spots is the Blue Ridge Parkway Overlook, especially when an eastbound steam locomotive works her way up grade with a substantial train. Continuing eastbound near Thaxton. A photo run-by was staged at Lowry. With the peaks of Otter in the background, our train rushes past Forest. Returning from Lynchburg, 1218 speeds west past Webster. Later, we're out near Glenvar, where the old Virginian line crosses over the N&W. Another not-to-be-repeated scene happened on July 30th, 1950, where Y6 2150 heads west and a Virginian electric-powered freight crosses over heading east. Today, a westbound work train crosses over, shortly followed by westbound 1218 on her way to Walton. .1218 works her way up grade near Shawsville. Approaching Christiansburg, our train crosses under a highway bridge. The ruins of an old concrete coaling tower stand at Vicar. Back on May 5, 1956, this station looked a bit different when K2A number 135 sped through. Another photo run-by was staged, and afterwards, a repair was made to a leaking Worthington Feedwater System hot water pump. Repairs completed and passengers reboarded, she'll shortly head out to the Y at Walton for turning back to Roanoke. Once more eastbound, just past Christiansburg. Finally, for this day, our train coasts downgrade through Shawsville. Monday, April 27th, and we're at the Blue Ridge Parkway overpass, where we'll first see 1218 enter train on a ferry move to Norfolk. The main line crosses over Highway 460 between Villamont and Montvale. Eastbound over the Lynchburg Trestle. Continuing on near Appomattox. A service stop was made at Crewe. Rolling again near Wilson's. Continuing on at Sutherland. The train's now heading southwest and passes through Waverly. Highway 460 parallels the main line all the way into Windsor, allowing an opportunity for some pacing action. Nearing Norfolk, 1218 heads towards drawbridge number 7 over the Elizabeth River South Branch. The end of our journey, Lambert's Point. 1218's been run around the loop, and her train will be moved over to a storage track by Yard Diesels. The last 7 days have been quite an experience, one we wouldn't trade for anything. 1218's the best steam engine we've personally seen running in 35 years, and one we won't soon forget.